If you are in the market to buy a home, you're thinking about things like, where will I get my down payment and how much do I need to set aside for a down payment? What will my monthly payments be? How much is homeowners insurance going to cost? Those are the things that are on the top of your mind right now as you get ready to purchase a home. But there are 15 items that are little known expenses that will come up during the home buying process that will surprise and perhaps even shock you. So this video will help you become more knowledgeable about that, and forewarned is forearmed. So with that, let's take a look. So one thing that might surprise a new home buyer is having to pay for a home inspection. A home inspection, just a normal typical one, is going to run between $300 and $600 depending on your area, so look into that. And then there could be specialized things that need to be done, like mold. You could have a mold inspection or mold inspector, septic inspection. Those are specialty inspections that will be above and beyond the regular home inspection. But that could surprise you. But the reason you want to do that and pay for that, get that done as soon as possible once you go under contract, is because you don't want to find out that there's something wrong with the foundation that's going to cost you $50,000 to fix after you have already purchased the home. So it is very important to get a home inspection and go ahead and just bite that payment up front. But it will be well worth it in the end. Then you won't have any unexpected surprises, and nobody wants that after the fact. The other thing, too, is you as the home buyer and the person who's paying for the home inspection, my recommendation is that you are at the home inspection with the home inspector or meet them, when they're about done. And I'm there with my clients as well, because that way they can go through things with you and point out certain things, and you can take notes about that. And that way, when it's time for you to put on the list what you would want to have fixed, you have a really good knowledge of that. So home inspection, $300 to $600 depending, and then there could be some specialized inspections that you'll want to get done. But with that, we'll take a look at the next one. So the next item that might surprise you that you will pay for is the appraisal. The appraisal is usually requested by the loan company, the mortgage company, because if they're going to loan you the money, they want to make sure that the property appraises for the amount of the loan. So that can cost anywhere between $300 on up, around there. But, kind of think about it in that price range. That way you're not surprised or unpleasantly surprised by that. But you definitely do want to get an appraisal. And if you're getting a loan, there's no choice to get an appraisal. If you're paying cash, you can waive the appraisal if you want, or no appraisal is needed because there is no mortgage company involved. So again, $300, and we'll look at the next one. The next item that may surprise you, but really shouldn't, because you probably heard parents or other people talking about this a lot, is homeowners insurance. That homeowners insurance national average policy runs about can run, and this is just a national average, $1,300, which is $109 per month. My recommendation is definitely shop around, look for the best rates, and of course, as you've seen a bazillion commercials on TV, bundle. You want to get the bundle, which will get you oftentimes a better price because you're putting in your auto insurance. You might have some other things that you're insuring as well. So kind of plan on that. I don't want you to be surprised by having to pay the insurance on your home once you are getting ready, but that is going to add up to your, the amount that you're budgeting or thinking of. So keep that in mind. Another expense during the home buying process that may surprise you, but I would think maybe it wouldn't surprise you, but luckily it's not that expensive, and that's the credit report. Lender is going to need that as well, so it doesn't cost very much. I've read different reports, about $20 around their ballpark. So it's not going to be a ton of money, but they may have to pull the credit report more than once as well, and all while you're working on getting into the home. So keep that in mind. You will end up paying for a credit report at some point during the home buying process. Another item that might surprise you that you will pay for is called private mortgage insurance, or PMI, and you may have heard people say PMI before. That's another expense that you'll end up paying. Now, there is a caveat to that. If you can pay 20% down, make a 20% down payment on the home, then you do not have to pay private mortgage insurance. But if not, then you will have to pay it, and the amount is 0.58% to 1.86% that you'll pay. That can be paid either monthly or you can make an upfront payment and pay it off, yearly, just kind of like your car insurance or your homeowners insurance. You can either make payments on it or pay it off in one yearly sum. You'll find that amount, where to find it is in your loan estimate and disclosure documents. If you have any questions about that, definitely get with your lender and ask those questions. But that is another thing that may surprise you, or maybe not. Maybe you've heard people talk about PMI before. A lot of acronyms in real estate, as in any industry, right? So that's something to keep in mind. So definitely know that unless you pay 20%, you will have to pay PMI. So another item that might surprise you that you'll end up paying for is called flood certification. And what that is not very expensive, depending on where you are. It could be about $20 to pay for that certification. And basically, that's somebody looking at a map and seeing if your property that you're buying or potentially buying is in a flood zone. If it is, then you'll definitely want to know that ahead of time in case it does flood in that area. You will pay more with homeowners insurance because your home is located in a flood zone. But you'll definitely want to get that. And flood zones, believe it or not, they change. I was sort of surprised by that, but they do and can change. Or they can change, so, keep that in mind too. But you definitely want to have that type of insurance as well so that in case there is a flood, you will be protected. But keep in mind that may be another surprise expense that you were not thinking about. Another item that can catch you by surprise is property taxes. Those are usually paid twice a year, usually in the fall and then again in the spring, or you can pay it all up front at once. And usually it funds things like schools, fire departments. They'll break it all out for you on the sheet that they send you. But here in, the Arizona area, property taxes are not, overwhelmingly expensive. I'll hear people that have moved here from different parts of the country, especially back east, where they are paying, in the Midwest even, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in property taxes. Here, I've seen property taxes, again, it depends on the value of the home, but, $2,000, $3,000 ballpark, smaller homes, depending on the area, even a little bit less than that. But definitely don't be surprised by that. The good thing about that is you can break that amount in half, so you don't have to pay it all at once, or you can just pay it off once a year. And it does change from year to year as well, so don't think just because it's this year that it will be that forever. It won't. It'll change a little bit depending on what's going on. There could be a special bond issue with the school district. They'll add into your property taxes. So definitely keep that in mind and make sure you budget for that. Another item that can be surprising or comes quite a surprise to you are what's called title fees, and that can be anywhere from 2 to 5% of the total loan amount. What it does, though, is it ensures that the home is fully and legally yours. You're spending that much money. You definitely want the home to be legally and fully yours. What it includes is the title search, the title settlement, title insurance. So it's definitely something that, it's a must-have, and we want to make sure that the property is legally transferred from the previous owner to you as the new owner. So keep that in mind. It is, it can be a chunk of change, but you definitely want to make sure that you are legally covered, and the title fees will make sure that is taken care of for you. Another item that might surprise you that you're going to pay for is called title policies. And that can cost you anywhere from 0.5 to 1% of the purchase price. But you definitely want to do this because what it does is it protects you from any claims made by a third party or any issues with the history of the house or the title. So very important to have this protection. You really can't get out of it anyway. The title company is going, it's part of the deal, but don't be surprised by the cost. I want you to be prepared for these things when they happen. Another item to be prepared for is title insurance, and that can run anywhere. And these are, of course, ballpark figures. Always check with your title company, your lender, your realtor. It could be anywhere from $3,000 to $2,000. What it does is this title insurance ensures someone else does not have partial ownership of your home. And obviously you do not want to find that out after you've already purchased a home and moved in. It also ensures that there are no liens on the property. Although that is can be a fairly big amount, especially when you're going through this process and you're having to pay for this, that, and the other. You can always ask the seller if they will pay for this. Now, it depends on the market. Right now, we are in a seller's market, so getting a seller to pay for anything these days is going to be difficult, but it always depends on the situation. You never know what's going on in the seller's world. And I always say you're at no now, so might as well find out. You might, just by asking, you might actually get to yes. So it does not hurt to ask, and I would definitely recommend that. Okay, another fee that you will need to pay, and you'll probably be a little surprised by this, is called the recording and settlement fees. For recording fees, those can average around $125. Settlement fees vary widely, so I'm not going to give you an amount for that. But these can include all types of things like escrow fees, survey fees, notary fees, the deed prep fees. As you can see, there is just a lot of moving parts when you're purchasing a home, but you definitely want to be covered and make sure that everything is not left to chance. You want to make sure that dot your I's and cross your T's. So keep that in mind. Because there are so many different fees in this area, you will want to ask your title company for a list, an itemized list of all of them, so that you can see what everything is and what you're paying for. Make sure you realize that there will be these types of what's called recording and settlement fees when you're purchasing a home. All right, the next item that might surprise you that you could end up paying for is called a land survey. That's going to cost you around $500 on average. What is the purpose of a land survey? It is actually to clarify where your property begins and ends, so you know exactly what you legally own. So let's use an example. Let's say that you thought the property line was here, and so you built a really nice custom wall around your property. And then years go by, and let's say the property next to you, they sell it and somebody else buys it. Now they do a land survey and they find out that you have actually built your wall on their property. So guess what? They're going to want you to take it down, probably. And there went all that money and expense and time and so on, building that wall around your property. And now it has to come down, and it's going to cost you money. So better to pay this amount up front to find out what is legally yours, and that way there's no dispute. Maybe one has been done in the past as well. You can check on that. But if it's been a while, you would probably, at least I think I would want to get an updated one, just to make sure that I'm not doing something or building on something that doesn't belong to me. So make sure you keep that in mind to get that done as well. Okay, another fun item expense that you will have to pay is called a transfer tax. Cost of a transfer tax varies from state to state, so you'll want to check with your title company or your lender about that. What is a transfer tax? It's a one-time fee to do exactly what it says, to transfer the property title or deed from the seller to the buyer. But always ask, it never hurts to ask the question, can the seller pay this? Lender or somebody at the title company can tell you if somebody else pays it besides you. So it never hurts to ask. I would always ask basically on everything, because one, you want to educate yourself, and two, you might get lucky and not have to pay one of the many fees that we're talking about in this video. So definitely ask. And by the way, you will get a whole sheet of all the expenses that you will pay. It's called the settlement sheet, and you'll be able to see that. And so you definitely want to, if you haven't asked before, then definitely ask at that time what these are and make sure that you're the one that needs to pay that. So always check. It never hurts. All right. The next item that may surprise you, I think that a lot of people forget about this just because there's so much they're having to do during the process of buying a house. The lender's going to want this. The realtor wants this information. They need that. They need this. And so you kind of get caught up in all of that. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's time to move. Wow. So moving expenses, obviously, two guys in a truck or two students in a truck or, whomever you end up using, the cost can vary. I would say anywhere from $1,000 to all the way up to, well, I'll just say $10,000. And the reason I say that depends on where you're moving. If you're moving across country, obviously that's going to cost a lot of money. So I had a client that moved here from Wyoming. So Wyoming to Arizona, to the Phoenix area, is pretty far. And I'll just tell you, that was not it's already stressful already because you've got the house, you're ready to move in, and now you've got to move from there. It was actually the winter as well, so the weather wasn't good. They got one company that was going to come here to do the move, and then they bailed or something happened. It cost them over $10,000 to make that move and get them to move down here. So make sure you get everything in writing, get the contract, what's going to be done, how it's going to be done. But definitely be ready for that one because it could be expensive. It could also not be expensive. You could just have a pizza party and a bunch of friends that have trucks, and maybe you don't have a lot of stuff, and they just move you over, and maybe it's not very far distance, and then you have a nice pizza party, and it only costs you pizza. So, but it could cost you friendships too because moving is not fun. So keep that in mind. Okay, another item that I could just talk about is renovations. And, if the house came through the inspection, didn't have a whole lot to do, you thinking, okay, well, I won't have to do very much. But then you get in the house and you think, wow, I really wish that wall wasn't there, or this bathroom really does need to be updated, or, maybe it's a few weeks later and then, the dishwasher goes out. So renovations, the average for a renovation is about $13,000, and that depends on what you're doing, of course. So a renovation could be anywhere from, maybe you just need to change the faucet out to this whole kitchen's got to go. So keep that in mind. A lot of people think that maybe a house does not need renovations, and then they move in and then they decide they really just cannot live with whatever that thing is. So keep that in mind. Kind of plan it out. If there's something that needs to be done before you move all the furniture in, though, I would highly recommend that. So here's an example. Popcorn ceilings. If you know that they're going to come out, it's best to do it when the house is empty rather than once you've moved all the furniture in. So take it from me, look around, see what needs to be done beforehand and get that done as soon as you can. Now, I know money is going to be kind of an issue because you've shelled out a lot of money to get into the house, but it's just easier to do some things beforehand than after. So what unexpected or hidden costs surprised you when you bought a home, if you've purchased a home in the past? Put those in the comments below. We'd love to share those with everybody. And any comments or questions that you have that I can answer, just let me know. And thanks for watching this video.